Welcome back into the Daft on Draft podcast. I'm your host, Corey Kinnan, and things are a little bit different today and for a little bit of the foreseeable future. As many of you know, Dalton is moving back from Portugal back to the United States at the end of this month, which also means he's selling off a lot of his belongings overseas that he can't bring back with him, including his computer. And he needs just some time to pack and get stuff ready. So he might be out for a little bit here, but filling in, I have James Foster, No Flags Film on social media. If you are not following him, make sure you are tuned into that. But couldn't be more thrilled to have James on. James and I met at the Combine this past year. I've followed each other for a while, and I'm not sure if there's anybody putting out content as unique as James right now. So it's awesome to have James on. James, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Cornerback's my favorite position to scout. So when you invited me on here, I was a no-brainer. I was pumped.
Love it. I love it. So today we're going to talk corners the next 3 days here. This week is going to be all corners, and we're going to move on scouting that way instead of by school as well. So let's talk about five of the bigger names. So I don't know how you feel about this class, James, but people really hyped up this corner class coming into the summer. And outside of like a couple names, maybe three names, I haven't been overly thrilled with the class as a whole.
Yeah, I'm with you. I hadn't necessarily heard about any of the hype heading into it, but like the way that I kind of watch players for the first time is I just download a list of players who are like in the top 50 on anyone's board, basically put them in random order. And I'm like going through all of these corners that are supposedly top 50. You know, I guess the biggest one would be like Malik Muhammad is probably the biggest just disappointment relative to where he's ranked. But
yeah,
kind of felt like I was ranking guys, 20 to 50 spots lower than consensus, and a lot of just like I guess name recognition as far as this cornerback class. There are some. I really have like three players that I've got first or second round grades on. So I do like some players at the top, but yeah, I'm with you. This is a pretty weak cornerback class, top to bottom.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, if you're interested in guys like Malik Muhammad, Davison Igbinosun, Jermaine Matthews, AJ Harris, things like that, Dalton and I did do the first, I think, 6 teams in the postseason rankings, and we broke those guys down by team. So we covered those guys. We're not going to hit on those guys again. If you want to hear our thoughts on guys like that from Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State, and one other school. You can go listen to those episodes. But we're going to talk about 5 of the bigger names in this class. Let's start with the biggest one, in my opinion, and also my opinion. I don't know if there's 3 better players in this class than this guy. Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee. I know he tore his ACL in January, man, but his tape is unbelievable from this past season.
Yeah, very complete player. He's got the press man, the speed to blanket vertical routes down the sideline. To me, what really was the most eye-popping rep for Jermon McCoy, it was against Ryan Williams, where he's geared up, full speed down the sideline. Ryan Williams runs a comeback, and you see him able to just slam the brakes on a dime, mirror that route, and you see that pretty consistently throughout his tape. I think having someone that can run with essentially everyone on the field except Jeremiah Smith, he can decelerate, blanket routes on the vertical plane, smooth transitions and press, and then he also gives you a lot, I think, really smart zone corner, reliable tackler, physical run defender. He's good from off coverage. Really, to me, the biggest thing with Jermon McCoy, and I agree with you that he's one of the blue chip players in this class. He's my top corner. The biggest thing with Jermon McCoy is wanting to see him consistently get his head turned around versus fades. Flash the ability to turn and locate the ball. Had that interception against Vanderbilt and then one against UTEP. But then I think there were a lot more plays where the ball was just kind of dropping over his head. And that's the biggest thing I want to see him improve. But yeah, outside of the injuries, incredibly clean prospect.
That Alabama game, man, I'll tell you what, he beat the crap out of Ryan Williams. Ryan Williams got him a couple times on some like stutter releases on some quick slants. Where I thought McCoy maybe threw his hands a little too committal, like he put too much weight out over his toes trying to throw hands right off the line of and press. Outside of that, man, like Ryan Williams was welcome to the sideline over and over and over in that game with Jermon McCoy. Again, yeah, I think he's tremendous as well. That quick trigger, he's pigeon-footed in press man. Like, it's almost like symmetry. Like, there's a mirror between him and the receiver across from him, the way that he can mirror tempo, the foot speed, everything. It's like they're dancing the same dance. So it's really, he's a really tremendous football player. And again, Jeremiah Smith got him that one time in the Ohio State game on that touchdown down the left sideline. But there's a rep in that Ohio State game too where he's in cover 3 and Jeremiah Smith is running a vertical, but McCoy is already bailing and turning. And so Jeremiah Smith's trying to work into his blind spot there because he's bailing and turning, and McCoy's speed turns out of it, matches right back into the hips of Smith and carries him down the sideline. And I thought that was a hell of a rep too from McCoy. I think he's the easy money CB1 in this class as well. The next guy on our list, though, is a guy that...
Do you have a comp for Jermon McCoy? Is there anyone that came to mind?
Oh, man, no.
I thought Desmond Trufant, like the moment I watched him.
Okay, I love that.
That was my comp.
I will be honest, unless like a comp is very obvious to me, I really suck at comps. Like, that's the thing about me, is I really suck at comps. The next guy I think I actually have a really good comp for, though. And it's a guy that people love. I see the tools, but I see a really inconsistent and hesitant corner right now. And that's Clemson's Avion Terrell. When I watch Terrell's tape, he's obviously twitched up, like twitched up. Some of the most explosive vertical speed I've seen in a little while from a corner as well. Like that dude can turn and run. He can run.
Yeah.
But I thought some of those tools were really negated by like either overthinking in zone coverage or a hesitancy to trigger and commit. And so I feel like he's playing slower than he actually is, because I think the game's moving really fast for him, if that makes sense. And then I also don't know how necessarily strong he is at the top of routes and off man, through the hands at the catch point, and in press technique. I'm not quite sure about the play strength there. What were some of your thoughts on Avion Terrell?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the speed was very good. I liked his ability to, or at least the flashes that he showed of the ability to turn and locate the ball. The click and close ability from off coverage was really good. To me, like for a player who is, listed at 5'11", 180 pounds, eyeball, I'm going to say he's like right on the border of 30-inch arms, which is, I mean, that's a bigger cutoff to me than like 33-inch arms for tackles, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got somebody that is really undersized, and I just didn't think he was anywhere sticky enough to be able to like play at that weight. The the stop routes I thought gave him hell last year. Very grabby at the top of routes. Yep. And yeah, just somebody that clearly doesn't really trust their technique at this point. I do think that I see a lot of similar things with Avion Terrell as I do with like AJ Harris for Penn State, who you guys already talked about. And I think it's kind of issues that plague younger cornerbacks of just not really playing that confident. So yeah, I mean, I think that he's got a chance to be a second round pick if he can get a little bit stickier, play tighter to comebacks, be better about keeping his eyes on the hip instead of having to rely on his hands to stick with breaks. But yeah, I see him as kind of like an Asante Samuel Jr. type. I hope I didn't steal your comp, but yeah, that was mine. I think I've got a 3rd round grade on him right now, but I think he's a little bit tighter in man coverage. I think I could see him moving up to 2nd round.
So I also have a 3rd round grade on him, and the comp that I had for him was Greg Newsome.
That's a good one.
I think Greg was a little stickier in college, but like some of the same, like another issue I have with Avion Terrell that I didn't bring up is like in the 3 games that I watched, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times he got his head around to the football. So like I thought his ball skills were very rough, and his ability to locate the football in the air was really rough as well. And that's the kind of stuff that I see in the overall lack of physicality. Is that's the kind of Newsome stuff. Like the tools are tremendous, the twitchiness is there. Some of the other physical elements, though, I do wonder about.
He had an interception. He had a one-handed interception in 2023 against Eric Singleton for Georgia Tech. That was sick.
Yeah.
That's kind of my my source for thinking he's good at playing the ball, I guess. The other thing with Terrell you got to mention though is he's kind of a dog in the run game. Like a ton of forced fumbles last year. I think it was 4 maybe.
Yeah, he'll rip it. Yeah.
So like, yeah, I mean, I feel like if he does move inside, he can give you what you need as far as the dirty work and run support.
All right, I'm gonna save one of our guys for last. Let's move on to Boulder. So I actually was pretty pleasantly surprised with DJ McKinney. I like his length. I think he is patient with his hands, with which a lot of guys who have longer arms just want to throw them. But I think he's very patient with his hands and makes sure to. He does a good job of leading with his feet before trying to strike and get out there. He's a little grubby. He's very thin body type wise as well, which is a little bit of an issue. But he's sticky, man. I thought DJ McKinney was really sticky, and then flashed some like really good zone instincts too. Played with really good peripherals. So again, that either comes down to film study. I mean, a lot of it's just like if you're on a 2x2 and you got two guys running vertically at you, just spacing is key there. But like a lot of it comes down to watching film and being able to anticipate, like, oh, if this guy's running a post away from me, I can anticipate something coming back towards me. I think he does a good job of anticipating route concepts and things like that as well. And then his ball skills are pretty good. His ball skills are pretty good. I have a 3rd round grade on DJ McKinney as well. But I was overall like pretty surprised with DJ McKinney and how much I actually came away liking him.
So I agree with almost all of that. I think, really like him in press man, light feet, playing soft shoe press, does a pretty good job mirroring route breaks. To me, I thought what he did at the catch point was kind of the worst part about his tape.
Okay.
Now, there are examples where he does a really good job when he's face guarding the receiver, of reading the receiver's body language, timing his rake with the receiver playing the ball. There were just way too many plays where he got absolutely bodied at the catch point by like a bigger receiver. There was who was it? I think it was Oklahoma State. Yeah, Oklahoma State. He gave up a touchdown where like the tight end didn't even run a route. He crossed the line of scrimmage, literally turned around and started like posting him up like a center in basketball, and then just like kind of played above the rim on him. And like, to me, it's like either he's going to face guard and get a really like well-timed PBU, or the ball's going right over his head. I just felt like the ball location skills down the sideline were kind of my biggest issue for him. And then also, like, I don't know, how tall do you think he is? Because he's listed at 6'2".
He's listed at 6'2". I'd probably say
I think he's 6 foot flat. Like, if I had to guess.
6 foot flat. Yeah. I maybe 6'1", but his arms are long. He's got good length.
Okay.
I thought he had good length.
Man, it's so hard to tell arm length from the sideline angle. I'll be honest.
It is a little bit.
But like, regardless of what his height is, he needs to fill out a little bit. There's some times that he'll allow separation, like getting pushed off at the top of the route. But yeah, man, I was really impressed with him in press man. More than I expected, because I hadn't really even heard of him heading into it, which, yeah. So I like DJ McKinney. I've got an early 4th round grade on him, but yeah, he's right under that Avion Terrell, Will Lee kind of tier for me.
Love it. So there's also one more thing I love about DJ McKinney, and it's what I love to see in any sort of corner, is that he's a massive shit talker as well.
Yeah.
Like, that dude just talks. And corner is the one position where I'm like, you got to talk. You got to have the most supreme confidence in yourself. Again, what we kind of talked about with Terrell is like, I didn't know if I necessarily saw that too much with Terrell. But DJ McKinney for sure. All right. I'm torn on this next one. Illinois Xavier Scott. Coming into the summer, I remember being very into Xavier Scott and hearing some really good things about Xavier Scott. I turn on the tape. I see a good player. I see a player with like quite a bit of lacking in the profile though. I don't know where you I know you're a Xavier Scott fan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw a really awesome transitional burst like that ability to exhilarate 0 to 100 off of his like plant foot and go and go immediately. Good outside nickel versatility. He's a really good communicator post snap as well. You can always read his body language really well. He's a really good communicator post snap and traffic director. I thought he just played a little high hipped. Like his speed turns were a little loopy. Like they weren't sharp. His speed turns weren't sharp. Not a lot of hip flipping to receivers running those comebacks, running those outs. It were more of those rounded speed turns that I saw, which gives me a little bit of pause, a little bit there. Overall, I do kind of think he's lacking a little bit of that killer instinct as well. And then I think he's a really good proactive athlete. So I think like proactive as
Totally.
opposed to
I totally
reactive,
agree with what
right?
you're saying. I'm
Like
with
he's a really good proactive athlete, but like if his hips are open and he's kind of running with the guy and the guy runs a post, he's got to like kind of stutter and like oh shit, and then try to get in recovery and get back in phase. I think it takes him a little while to like break down and then anticipate like and then carry. I don't know if that makes sense to
He's
you.
such a loose player. It's just like I totally agree with you on like the reactive versus proactive. Like when it comes to closing burst to erase separation from off coverage, really like what he can do. Like I looked this up because it felt like it was every other play. He led the FBS last year with 5 pass breakups or interceptions on out breaking routes. And like you see that so often where he's able to recover a little bit of initial separation with that click and close ability, but he allows way too much initial separation out of breaks. I don't think his route ID is very sharp, over reliant on his ability to recover. I also think his footwork is pretty sloppy and off coverage, doesn't really stay square to the route. Like even, it's not even really him getting his hips turned by some like deceptive stem or anything. It's just kind of him like getting lazy and his hips kind of drift to one side, and then he isn't in position to mirror the break. And then I also think he's got to be a lot more proactive getting in phase, and he's got to be a lot sturdier staying in phase, and not getting his arms wiped down at the break point. So like I just felt like there were so many plays where receivers were coming open out of their breaks, and even a lot of those plays like ended up being pass breakups for him. But the coverage, the coverage like snap to snap is a little bit too sloppy for me. To me, I just think the ball skills and the timing at the catch point absolutely
They're very good.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what games you watched, but like this dude has got some insane plays on his tape last year. Like hopefully you watched the Kansas game.
Yeah.
God.
I will say as well, I think he's a nickel at the next level.
Yeah.
And I say that almost predominantly because like, do I think he's a good tackler? No. But like I think good tackling corners are also pretty rare. But I think I always see him maintaining outside contained, funneling stuff back to the inside. When he is playing the nickel, he slings into fits really well too. Like he'll sling into fits and stick his body in a gap, and like so I think that can fly as a nickel at the next level. I have like a fourth, like a mid 4 on him right now, sitting in that range. Where do you sit with him?
So I've got him with a late 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Xavier Scott. I mean, I think that I think a lot of his issues are technical. I think he is a really good athlete. His tracking data is pretty solid. To me, he's the 3rd best cornerback in this class, behind Jermon McCoy and someone else that we'll probably talk about. I've got him at cornerback 3. I think he's got inside outside versatility. Probably going to be a guy that gives up 500 yards a season, but has 10 pass breakups and 4 interceptions or something.
The Trevon Diggs effect. Yeah. Okay, interesting. And again, we'll see what happens in an offense or in the off season here. He could be the next next to Illini defensive back there, drafted in the top 64. All right, this last one, man. We're both huge fans. We both have him as CB2 right now in this class as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's only a true junior, so like he's not on a lot of people's radars right now. Well, he's starting to because you and I have posted about him publicly. I was watching the Texas game. I was watching Matthew Golden, and there's this corner who is like speed turning without losing any separation, hip to hip with him, who is like, again, route IDing and playing with good spacing and peripherals, like bailing in quarters. But as he's bailing, like as he's backpedaling in quarters, like open, like shuffling in quarters, he's squeezing the outside receiver to the boundary. He's squeezing Matthew Golden to the boundary as he's doing this and splitting these concepts and like playing with really good zone IQ. He's got some really awesome like ball skills too. If you just like watch his highlight reel, which tends to be if like you're watching tape and you don't see all of the things on tape that you need to see, especially ball skills with corner. I'll go watch a highlight reel and be like, what does this guy look like when he's going up and he's trying to catch a football?
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty awesome ball skills. Sticky, again, inside out versatility. Arizona State's Keith Abney, man. Like, the dude is a gnat. Like, at the end of the day, like, the dude is a gnat. Is he a little grabby? Yes. Yeah. But I think he's a smooth athlete. Do I think he's like a top end like athlete? I don't. But he's more than good enough to carry vertically. So like I would still say he's like up top, what 75 to 80th percentile corner, like athlete for a corner. Like I think he's
Like
it's not lacking.
When I put in my I put in like combine drill estimations. So like this is what I estimated Keith Abney as athletically.
Okay,
I
I'm ready to hear this.
71st percentile 40-yard dash, so that's speed. 80th percentile 3-cone, 74th percentile vertical jump.
So yeah, like 75th to 80th percentile athlete. Yeah, that tracks. But he's fluid, man. He's fluid. Yeah. And I think he's really, really damn smart. And I didn't know if you know this about him, but as a child, he was a national champion winning inline skater as well.
Yeah. Somebody, I tweeted about him. Somebody like that I think like coached him growing up replied that to me. So yeah, I just learned that.
That's amazing. It's amazing and so random.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's one of those things that you just hear it and it kind of like sounds like it translates to his game. When you texted me about Keith Abney, like probably most people that watch him, the first game that I watched was the playoff game against Texas. And like, I don't know if I've seen a better individual cornerback performance from this class, especially as far as like literally checking every single box that you want to see for a corner in one game. Like you kind of broke it down, but it's like he had even the reps that weren't pass breakups or interceptions. Like there were a couple reps where he was able to kind of open up with a fake outside release, and then the receiver crosses his face and then swivels his hips instantly to mirror the inside release. I just think he's so fluid, naturally sticky. There's a speed turn. He actually got a penalty. He had some pretty BS penalties last year. I went and watched all of them, but he had this pass breakup that got called for a penalty where he made an insane speed turn and like really exploded out of the speed turn, covered a ton of distance across the field. I think that, to me, his number one trump card trait is the ability to turn and locate the ball. That interception against Cincinnati, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. There are actually a couple. He dropped an interception against Cincinnati also in the same game. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like an uncoachable trait that, he already checks that box. I think that he probably is going to have shorter arms. And the lack of length can show up at the catch point sometimes. He needs to do a better job of proactively fighting against receivers pushing off on back shoulder fades. He gave up, I think, like 3 receptions in that sort of situation. But yeah, just as far as turning and playing the ball down the sideline, really good. I think that, later in the year, like he's obviously still a very young player, so fluid in terms of his skill set. I think like his discipline in man coverage was kind of up and down. He gave up a touchdown on a double move to Tedero McMillan. But then also some examples of him, keeping his eyes glued to the hip, disregarding everything else, being able to get an early read on the break. And then, the final thing, I guess, is just like I wrote zone coverage wizard. Takes smart angles to the ball, reads and reacts really quickly. He was able to diagnose elaborate route concepts like a veteran in his first year as a starter. I think he's got a great foundation to work on. Now, he is I don't know his age, but he is a very young player. And there are a lot of technical lapses, I think, in single coverage. Like to me, the biggest thing is that he's got to play with a lot quieter feet at the line of scrimmage and be less reactive to release fakes. He's just too easily influenced into opening his hips or leaning back on his heels. It felt like most of his bad reps were kind of self-inflicted errors in that way. But man, I'm a huge fan of Keith Abney. Not even, that's not even mentioning like active in run support, really good tackler, especially later in the season. I think he's somebody that like could play inside, outside if you needed him to. That's a great call by you on Keith Abney. One of my favorite players in this class.
I appreciate that. I do love the little community we have going on here of like, hey, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? Have you seen this guy? Yeah. There's like 4 or 5 of us that just shoot player names back and forth to each other.
I text you, Ryan, and Sam Teets. Just ask players.
Yes. Love it. I love it. All right. Well, that's the 5 big corners in this class that we brought up in the first group. There are some bigger names still to get to tomorrow, such as, people do like Domani Jackson. There are some people who like Will Lee. We've got a couple other names we really need to get to as well. Outside of that, man, we might squeeze in either a mailbag or a Dafter draft this week as well and call that a week on corners. But do you have anything that you want to add? Plug your own stuff. Actually, this is your first time on the pod, so plug your own stuff here real fast before we get out of here.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at NoFlagsFilm, and actually just in the process of editing a deep dive into the 2026 draft class. It's about an hour and 20 minutes of me going like 1 through 110 on my board and talking about every player. So yeah, if you want a literal like doctorate level thesis on the 2026 class, you can check that out.
Yeah, James's work is psycho level. If you haven't read his articles at Wide Left, where the pass rush move article, where he broke down every single NFL, like the big name pass rushers by their pass rush move and the percentage that they used, insane attention to detail. There's a YouTube video where you have literally the entire edge class and like film clip cut-ups for each of the players that you list. It's just an insane level of detail. Again, I don't know if anybody's putting the amount of work, the amount of creativity that James is right now. So while Dalton gets settled in back in America as he gets ready to move back from Portugal, I am more than happy to have James on. And I'm thrilled that you agreed to do this, man.
Yeah, man. I'm pumped for tomorrow. And thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. All right. Well, until next time, we will be back talking more corners tomorrow. Again, you can find the podcast, Apple, Spotify. We do ask that you leave a review if you do listen to the podcast relatively frequently. We would really appreciate that. But I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Until next time, see ya.